The second time I caught my wife cheating, I didn't even put down the laundry basket. I just folded her shirts like a man who'd already left. The first time was 3 years ago, in Georgia. A hotel charge on our joint card from a weekend she'd spent at her cousin's. When I asked about it, she folded in about 10 seconds. It was a coworker. It had only happened once. She sat on our bathroom floor crying, telling me she'd rather die than lose me. She quit that job. We did marriage counseling every Thursday for 8 months. I wrote apology letters for things I hadn't done wrong because our counselor said healing needed both people to bend. I bent. When you love someone, you bend. Then her dad had a heart scare, and she wanted to move back to her hometown in Tennessee to be near him. I had 11 years at my plant, a fishing spot I'd earned, 2 guys I'd have donated a kidney to. I gave notice anyway. Her father, Ray, owned a duplex and let us have one side for half rent so we could save for a down payment. I took a maintenance supervisor job working nights and weekends to fatten that fund. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Ray became my best friend. 71 years old, widower, watches westerns with the volume too loud. He'd leave his porch light on when I worked late so I wouldn't come home to a dark street. He taught me to sweat copper pipe. He introduced me at church as my son, not son-in-law, son. Meanwhile, his daughter was always exhausted, always at book club, always face down in her phone at dinner. 3 weeks ago, I found out what book club was. Our old tablet sits in the garage running my woodworking videos, still logged into our shared photo account. I was gluing up a cutting board when it pinged. Her phone was auto-backing up pictures in real time, restaurant photos, a candle on a table, his hand on her wrist, then the album history, months deep, and near the bottom, a screenshot from before we'd even left Georgia. Him telling her he'd found a job in Tennessee too, that he'd follow her anywhere. The coworker she quit her job over. The move for her sick father had a passenger I never saw. I didn't throw anything. I didn't call her. I wiped the glue off my hands, finished clamping the board, and swept the garage. Then I sat in my truck in the driveway for an hour feeling absolutely nothing, and that nothing scared me worse than the screaming grief from 3 years ago ever did. The first betrayal broke my heart. The second one just turned it off. She came home at 11 smelling like a shower. I told her my back was acting up and moved into the spare room that night. I needed my head clear before that conversation. I started eating supper next door with Ray instead of waiting up. On the 4th night, he muted his western, looked at me and said, "You've got funeral eyes, son. Out with it." So it came out, all of it at his kitchen table. The photos, the screenshot, the timeline. I felt ashamed dumping it on an old man about his own daughter. He didn't defend her for 1 second. He just stared at his coffee for a long time, and his jaw did something I'd never seen it do. The next morning, I laid the printed photos on our kitchen counter. She went from white-faced to sobbing to swinging in under 2 minutes. Suddenly, it was my fault. I work too much. I'm boring. I abandoned her emotionally. I worked those hours for our house fund while she spent them in his apartment. I said exactly that, and she switched targets. How dare I tell her father? Our marriage was private. I was turning her own family against her. Not one word about the man in the photos. Not one apology that didn't have a but welded to it. 2 nights ago, she stood in the spare room doorway and gave me her terms, calm as a bank teller. Apologized to her for the humiliation. Never speak to her father about our marriage again, or be out of the duplex by Sunday. She actually said the words, "my dad's property." The hallway floor creaked. Ray was standing there with a pipe wrench he'd come to return, and he'd heard every syllable. He looked straight through her and said, "It's my property, all right, and the only name coming off the lease is yours." She tried to argue. He ended it with one sentence I'll carry to my grave. He kept his promises to my daughter. My daughter can go find that fella who helped her break them. Her boxes went to a storage unit yesterday. Ray and I have a fishing trip Saturday.